Hello everyone, this is Jean. Today I'm doing an art journal page in response to Crystal's Art It Out group November challenge, which is to create a page with no art supplies. So these are some of the supplies that I'm going to use in this project. Some polyfiller, which I don't know what you call it in the USA or Australia or New Zealand, but it's for filling in very small holes in plaster walls. And some homemade vegetable dyes from onion skins, which you just boil the onion skins up with some water and then boil off most of the water. Some beetroot juice, which came from a very old jar of beetroot, so it wasn't quite the red colour that I thought it would be, but it turned out fine. And some coffee, which I made by adding a lot of coffee to very little hot water. So I want to use my magazine journal, which I made from a Gardener's World magazine, and I kept it in this long format because I liked the format of it. And then when I decided to use it, I realised that I couldn't use gesso because that's an art supply, isn't it? So that's why I used the polyfiller. And it goes on this funny, horrible colour, but it does dry white, and you can see a bit on the right there that's already dried. Then I'd been out for this nice walk, and while I was out walking I collected all these leaves, so I've put them in my flower press, and they're not completely pressed, but they're good enough, and there's lots of different colours, as you can see, and different shapes. So I decided to use those to decorate the page, but I didn't want to use them as leaves, nothing's quite so simple. So here I'm cutting them up to make petals for a flower. So this is a reddish colour, it's not showing up that well in the video, but it's quite red. And then this is a yellow leaf that I'm cutting out a centre for the centre of my flower. Then I decided to cut some more smaller flowers. You can see one up in the top left hand corner that I've already done. Smaller petals, and then a dark centre out of that purple leaf that you can see there. And that's how the page turned out with the polyfiller. It's completely white, as you can see. I started to try out some of the dyes at the bottom left, that's why that looks a bit coloured. So here I'm using the onion skin dye. And I did quite a lot of smooshing and drying and patting and adding some more and letting it dribble and drip. And this is the beetroot juice, which, as you can see, did not come out red, but came out this nice dark orangey colour. And then finally I decided to do some brown splatters with the coffee, and they came out really well. So I was really pleased with the vegetable dyes, and I'd like to try using those again at some point. Mind you, my craft room has a rather distinctive smell now. Here I'm using Mod Podge. We were allowed to use glue, so I'm using Mod Podge here to stick down the drywall tape, and then one of the flowers. I didn't show the whole of that because it really took a long time to get them to stick, but once they were stuck they were fine. But to get them in the right place they kept moving about, and anyway, here I am doing one of the smaller flowers. I think I did 3 of these in the end. And that went on a lot easier than it looked. But you see, that's what it looks like when the Mod Podge has dried, so it's fine. And you can see I've also put some of those more ferny type leaves on there as well as extra decoration. I have speeded this up, and I did cut quite a lot of it out. This took a long time. Yeah, I changed my mind about that one. And then here I am trying to find some sort of quote, because obviously I can only use what I've got. These are all sorts of, I've got a whole envelope full of these quotes from magazines. So I chose 2 of them, and then I went through my coloured background file and found a nice coloured background. So I cut all of that out, glued it on, cut it out, and here I am sticking that down. I found 2 phrases in the end. One says autumn glow, and the other says plants in the wall, which I felt said what I wanted it to say. I decided it needed a border, so this is the coffee again, and I just put the coffee all around the edges. And now I'm not setting fire to it here, but I am trying to create a bit of charcoal, because if I can't use my charcoal pencil, what can I use? So I wanted to go around the outside of these word blocks, and you can see I've already done the autumn glow one at the top left there, and this is how I did it. I just broke little bits off the burnt match and just blended it in like I would a charcoal pencil. I thought that had worked quite well. I was quite pleased with that. So there we are. That was a challenge, but I managed it, and yeah. So I'll say thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please give me a thumbs up. Subscribe if you haven't already done so, and ring that little bell if you want to be informed about future videos. See you again soon, I hope. Bye for now.